Hey everybody, how's it going? So we're back in Reigate Lake and this is episode number 24 of Reel Up My Park from scratch. And so as you already know, whether you are old or whether you're new to the series, you are all absolutely welcome. And as always, I'm thankful for all of your support and everything that you guys have been doing. I've got a bit of a chesty thing going on, so forgive my commentary. It's a bit Phoebe Friends, My Sticky Shoes. I'm absolutely fine. It's just common cold. It's just sitting on my chest, that's all. So forgive me. It's all a bit... So yes, this is it. This is Reigate Lake, and for those of you that are unfamiliar with this series, this is what we're building. It's our UK park mid-budget, starting to become Alton Towers style, but inspired mainly on Drayton Manor and Thorpe Park here in the UK. We're dealing mid-budget. We're not dealing with spending lots and lots of money. We're dealing with very simple, very effective attractions, and this is the episode I think I've probably dreaded and been the most nervous about since I started the series, because it's dark ride time. I knew the dark ride was going to win the vote. It was almost a given. And when you're dealing with a series of this kind of level of detail and this kind of level of attention, doing a dark ride is really, really daunting, because there's lots and lots and lots that needs to go in it. I mean, I have seen some absolutely beautiful dark rides that are out there on the workshop and on videos, and places like Channel 5 Gaming have done features on stuff, and there are just some beautiful dark rides, and I need to do it justice for the park, and I need to do it justice for the YouTube community and for you guys that are watching. And I think that's why I'm so nervous about it, because dark rides are quite difficult to do. They're difficult to be imaginative. It's difficult to scratch that imagination away, but I'm going to give it the best I can. But what we do need to remember is that we are a mid-budget park, so we can wave goodbye to the spectacles of the likes you can see at Universal and Disney and all of the other big name like dark rides that you see. We're probably dealing with something here along the scale of Jewel at Alton Towers, or Toon Blaster at Chessington World of Adventure, or maybe something that you find, like Wallace and Gromit's ride at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. We're dealing on that kind of level. But what I definitely do want to do is inject that realism and talk through the idea of the realism part of a dark ride. What you'd expect to find, how they're laid out, the sorts of things that you need to think of. It's not just about plonking down a dark ride, having loads of amazing, fantastic scenery and being done with it. We have to make sure that it's operable in real life, right? We have to consider health and safety, and we have to consider guest flow and all of that sort of stuff. So that's what we're going to do. So without further ado, I'm going to cut to the first update, because this is the template that we're working with, and I need to make all of this make sense before I can start talking about it. So let's just shut up and let's just get on with it. Alright then, so it's time for an update. And guys, I so wanted to troll you all and just go, hey, it's a flat ride in a warehouse and it's a dark ride, it's done. I didn't have the heart. I just did not have the heart to do that. So yeah, I've done a proper job. So here it is sitting on the skyline right now. It's not looking anything beautiful at the moment. Do you remember in the last episode when I said I knew how I wanted it to sit on the skyline? It's this. This is what I'd already done. It's just starting to put the outline of the building in. And this behind it is our full ride. Well, obviously it's not full. It's not decorated and stuff, but this is the ride. And so I posted a couple of these teasers out on Facebook, and I realised very, very quickly that dark rides are so divisive amongst you lot. Like, as in, it divides opinion really, really massively. Loads of you have got expectations of what dark rides are. Loads of you have got opinions on how to build dark rides and etc. So what I've done is I've built this update all around the fundamentals of how dark rides and everything work. And of course, there's a couple of elephants in the room that I do need to address. So first off, this ride is never going to be perfectly dark because of the Planet Coaster lighting system. You can get it close to it in the sense that you can bury dark rides underground or inside encasement of terrain and whatever, and it'll stop the light getting through and it creates a dark ride, right? So you can do that, but we can't do that in this park because that doesn't demand the realism, right? It just doesn't satisfy that realism aspect. But what we can do is we can turn it to night and use the ride cam time machine and turn the ride from dark to night, and that kind of gives us the right impression. But that's the first elephant that I need to address, is that this ride is not going to be the perfect dark ride in the sense of it's not going to be perfectly dark, and we just have to deal with that. That's just Planet Coaster. It's just how it is. And the second one is, yes, I have converted a trackless ride into a track ride. So here in the UK, we don't have trackless dark rides. Like even Darren Brown's Ghost Train is a tracked ride. It's done by Simworks. So I've done that because this is a UK park and we don't spend masses and masses of money on dark rides. We just don't do it. We have other big attractions. We spend our money on roller coasters and on big expensive flat rides. We don't do it for dark rides and experiences. So we can't expect an American style sized themed whatever dark ride in this capacity of this park. We have to go for small. And then the other elephant in the room is piece count. This this dark ride and the hotel alone accounts for nearly 700,000 pieces, and so I need to be careful and conservative with the piece count. This dark ride could have happily taken up this entire space and been a behemoth of a dark ride, but I just don't have the piece count available. I need to save it. I mean, you guys were already struggling with phase 2, so anyway. Those are the 3 elephants I wanted to address to start with, just to set your expectations so you know what we're going for. So let's talk about the actual building of the dark ride, because these are kind of fun. And for this, I need to give a massive, massive thanks to Jordan over on Planet Coaster Nation. You'll see me over there on Facebook, lurking around and posting my updates and stuff. And Jordan has got a vast wealth of experience when it comes to dark rides, far more than I ever did. I've got like some of the design specifications and things of some of the rides that I've worked on, but Jordan's got actual hands-on experience with the likes of Duel at Alton Towers, and so he has been my absolute rock with this. So I know you're going to be watching this, Jordan, so thank you. Really, really, really appreciate it. I can't make that apparent enough. I really, really appreciate what you've done. So, dark rides then. When we talk about it and talk about dark rides have got 2 worlds inside this whole thing. So let's be clear, right? Dark rides are just big warehouses. That's all they are. They're nothing special. They're not grand buildings that you put something inside. They're not fully fleshed out buildings from the ground up. They are just warehouses. Even Hex at Alton Towers, the actual ride building, is a warehouse. So that's what we have to go for here. We have to go for warehouse. So that's what we've got. We've got a warehouse that's sitting in our park, and inside a dark ride, you have 2 worlds. There's 2 worlds that's going on. The first world is the guest world. It's what the guest sees. It's what the guest experiences. It's what the guest interacts. And this is all on ground level. And so when you're dealing with dark rides, you're dealing with a lot of smoke and mirrors. You're dealing with a lot of things that are hidden and things that you don't even know exist, because darkness is the absolute perfect veil to hide things. If you ever end up in a dark ride that's been e-stopped and the lights have come on, you'll realise just how much or how little is hidden from you. And the only reason why it's hidden from you when the ride is dark is because things like lights are used to distract you, or pop-out experiences, or really good decoration, or really quick sudden movements of the train. You are distracted the entire time and you cannot see what's going on above you or behind the scenery. And that's all dark rides are. They are masters of deception, and they're only dark because the building you're in doesn't have windows. Right, so if you put a window in, then it just ruins the experience. Obviously, it's no longer dark, is it? A stupid thing to say. But yeah, so what you tend to find is you have a lot of lighting that's faced towards you, a lot of blurring, a lot of fast motion stuff that happens, and this is going to be no exception. So you can see already that above here you've got all of the walkways and all of the catwalks and everything, and this leads us to the second world. The second world is the maintenance and the safety features that live within a dark ride. So whereas on the ground here, you've got everything that the guest lives in and everything that the guest experiences with all of their animations and their decorations and the theming and everything. Above that is an entire labyrinth world of things that maintenance do. And so every single piece of this ride has to be accessible by maintenance, and it has to be accessible by catwalks. And so what you'll find is a mix of catwalks that are supported from the ground and hidden by scenery, or supported from the roof. And then they dangle down. And then you have things like lighting fixtures and everything that are around about the same height as the catwalks, that would then be fixed to the ceiling and hanging from the ceiling, and these rafters and everything that you'll see in here. So there's this entire world, and these aren't level either. They'll be on different levels. They'll come down to pieces of scenery to be able to access and all of that sort of stuff. So it's like I say, it's completely hidden behind the veil of darkness because it's all above you and your focus is in front of you. You don't know any of this exists, but it's there. Even in like the most beautiful put together dark rides over in the US, you'll still see that there's this second scratch away at the surface. There's this second world. I mean, in the UK, we don't do very much of a job of hiding it, right? I mean, I've been on Toon Blaster and I think I enjoyed the backstage stuff more than I enjoyed the ride, but it exists. But what happens when there's an emergency? So one massive building needs one massive fire strategy. So you'll find that there's all of these fire exits that I've put around the outside of the buildings. So those will help us to evacuate this in the event that there's some kind of emergency. And you need many, many, many of them. So if there's ride E-stops, and if you think in real life, this would probably have, 35 trains maybe, and if it was slightly longer. All that happens with an E-stop and they need to evacuate the ride is they quite literally stop the ride, turn the lights on, open the fire exit doors and tell you to get out, and you just get out at the nearest fire exit, right? So you have to have them all the way around. And then within this building, I've also built a corridor that also leads around just in case any of the fire exits are blocked. You can then walk up the corridor to the next available fire exit and then you can leave that way, right? So that's kind of the way that we're dealing with it. And then in terms of the maintenance area, you still need to have some kind of fire exit and access away from here. So I've put loads of ladders that come down from the gantries and everything that are above the actual ride itself. And then I'm going to also put, when I've put the final walls and everything in, I'm going to put the fire exits along the top as well with the stairs that come down so you can get out easily. You would never need to evacuate your guests along these top gantries. So these top gantries are always hidden away from the guests and they're always hidden private access. But that's also why things like this are okay to be hanging from the ceiling, because you're only ever going to get one person on here at a time, right? And 9 times out of 10 it's because they need to change a bulb in one of the lamps or something. So you're not dealing with really heavy traffic areas. So it's fine to have these dangling from the ceiling. And then your main maintenance walkways then would be all along here. And you would then have your pillars and everything, and they're a bit more secure. The other thing then that you'll find in here is ventilation, like masses and masses of ventilation. It's a big warehouse building. There's going to be fumes. There's going to be heat. There's going to be all sorts that needs to be taken care of. So I've just put them all in here, ready to go across the entirety of the warehouse. And all I'm going to have is HVAC units that are sitting all along the actual main roof itself. And then they'll be poking out of the actual roof and everything, and you'll be able to see those. And then the last thing really to show you is the maintenance area. So here we've got our station. Again, we're dealing with Planet Coaster versus realism here. So we know that in real life, these would probably have split stations and you would exit and enter and whatever on different stations. But we can't do that, so let's not dwell on that. So we've got the main station here. And then behind that, you've got the maintenance area. So within the maintenance area, then you have all of your usual stuff you find in roller coasters. You know, you have all of your toolkit areas and bits where you take the trains apart and you might service electrics and stuff like that in here. But what you also do tend to find, because this is a live running zone, so you can like keep trains running through and stuff, is you would have a fenced off area. And that fenced off area is a secure area where you can work knowing that you can safely wander around and move things around and whatever, and you won't be impacted by a train. You're not going to be hit by anything that way. So that's what's in here. And then of course you've got access to the second world, the maintenance world that lives above it, and that access starts from the maintenance area. So you'd climb up the cage ladder onto the gantries and walkways, and you go off and do what you need to do. And then on the side here, I've just put the two garage doors. And so this would be the main part. And I've put it as close to the maintenance area as I possibly can, so that it's living here. So, yeah, it's pretty much in the right place. And then what would happen is the van would be able to come and drive in here. You'd unload here in this little space. So this would be kept intentionally clear of scenery, or it'd be scenery that could be easily moved. And then you just move everything across the track here. So coming onto the track, this is another thing that I've done. I've converted the flat. No, not flat. It's not a flat ride. I keep calling it a flat ride. I've converted a trackless ride into a tracked ride, and I've done that for a reason. We don't have tracked versions of a shooter in game. So I wanted to make this as real as possible, and I also wanted to give the idea of the metal runners and the electric runners as well. And so these are yellow because when you have an emergency evacuation situation, you may still have poor level lighting, and so you need to know that this is a trip hazard. You don't want to be tripping over, and you also need to know that it could be live electrics, and so that's why these are yellow. In the lower level darkness, it's a bit more sort of, it's not so bright, but you still need it to be bright enough to go, here is a trip hazard, please be careful. And then I've also just put a turntable in here. So the idea is when you're loading trains in and out of the maintenance area, this turntable would spin around and it connects this part of the track with this part of the track. And yes, it does actually do that. I've made sure that that actually works, and that turntable can be turned around and it's correct. So I haven't just made it a facsimile and go, yeah, this is kind of what you do. It actually works. And likewise over here as well. I've done exactly the same. So just a turntable, and it would spin round, connect this part of the track with this part of the track, and then you can bring trains off and take them into the maintenance area. And so in terms of the actual runners themselves, then they're just hydro beams. That's all they are. Nothing particularly special. Hydro beams sitting on some kind of mount, and then I've sunk it into the ground so that it's a bit more believable. All of the screenshots that I shared, it was raised off the ground because I was still editing everything. I tried my absolute best to get perfect curves and stuff, and you just can't do it. You just can't do it. This tracking of this ride already took me 4 hours, and it's not finished, right? So you just have to know when good is good enough. So it's not entirely perfect, but you know, from here it's fine. It's not the star of the show. You don't come here to look at the tracking, right? Or at least I hope you don't. Oh, I wonder if anybody did. I wonder if anybody saw the pictures and went, oh, I want to go and see what he did as the tracking. So let me know if you did. And so the other bits then I've just done are all around the outside. So I've started the idea of this. So I wanted to use a bit more of a town hall style. And of course, it's going to be a haunting theme. I toyed with the theme so much. Like, I had so many different ideas. Was it going to be a western shooter? Was it going to be a ghost shooter? Was it going to be an asylum? I ruled out asylum because it felt wrong. Shooting at mental patients just didn't feel right, so I threw that out. Was it going to be some kind of like ice blast? Was it going to be some kind of loads of different ideas went through my head, and I thought, no, I just need to keep it with traditional. Let's just keep it with the gothic theme stuff. So this building is going to be a frontage. It's going to be a town hall looking style frontage, and then it's going to come into the back into the cattle pen queue, which is going to be like a bit more of a gothic hall. So think more along the lines of the queue from Hex at Alton Towers, and how that's set up, all the gothic beaming and everything, and then comes into just a bit of a holding area. And I want this to be a bit more of a show area, like a pre-show. So this is what this is going to be, and then you board the ride and go around it. So anyway, I've talked quite a lot for this update because I wanted to show you everything that's gone into it, and there's still loads of stuff that I need to tell you about. You know, like how the stuff's put together in terms of the lighting, and how the effects will come together, and the paper mache, papier mache, and how everything's like really quite rubbish in a dark ride, and you just don't notice it because you're so immersed in darkness that everything looks awesome. So, but at the same time, how ridiculously detailed things still are. So if you ever do a tour of Duel at Alton Towers in the light, you'll notice that there is a ridiculous amount of level of detail right in front of you, and then suddenly it stops, and behind you is a load of pipework. So anyway, I'm going to carry on building this. I'm going to start fleshing out all of these areas, especially the station, the maintenance area, the queue area and everything, because I'm going to do this whole bit of the theming and everything in one pass. So let's see how the next bit turns out. Alright, time to do an update. And I listened back to the last update just to sort of see how everything has progressed and everything. I sounded really stern and angry, didn't I? Like, I'm not going to go back and re-record it because it's quite funny, but I sounded really quite angry. I don't know why. It's not like dark rides are stressful or anything. Here we go. Some updates. So, I've started working on the fascia. This is probably very different to what you're expecting, by the way. I wanted a really sort of clean, almost Romanesque looking building. So when I was doing the original design specification for this, I was thinking, what's scarier? An obvious haunted house, or something that lures you into a false sense of security where you think, oh yeah, this is going to be a lovely little building to walk through, it's going to be a bit like a museum, and then everything starts to go wrong inside and you have to shoot your way out of zombies and stuff. And I kind of figured that was probably the route I was going to go down, but as you start going through the queue, things start to get darker and darker and darker, and it sort of goes to pot from there. And I kind of took that inspiration a little bit from Project X in this idea of mushing together as many themes as possible to try and make it all make sense. So that's kind of where I went with it. So this is the outside at the moment. Obviously, you still need some more detailing and stuff, but this is where it's sitting on the skyline, and I've just lowered it slightly as well. It was sitting a little bit too high on the skyline, so I've just taken a couple of meters off it. And then around the side, we've got ourselves the gift shop that's starting to come together. So you'd exit out of the ride from here through the corridor, and then you come out into the gift shop here. Just followed it again, this whole idea of this Romanesque kind of building, frontage and everything coming across the front. So I quite like how this has turned out. Actually, I wanted it to be a bit more sort of like a modern take on it. That's why we've got the modern windows and stuff. This whole building, by the way, is modelled on a town hall that's up the road from me. I used to live by it and used to walk past it every day and used to admire it and wanted to sort of almost recreate something very similar in Planet Coaster. So this isn't an exact copy, obviously, but it's very, very, very familiar. So yeah, then you walk up through the stairs. And this is where you would find your first interaction with the queue line. So I haven't put ceilings and stuff in yet, but this would essentially be what you're going to walk through. It's going to be like this old sort of wooden haunted house kind of thing, and then you're going to walk down the stairs, and you've got some stuff in here just to look at. Obviously, tidying up and everything needs to come on in here and whatever. But so yeah, you've got all of this stuff. And then you come into the fireplace, and then you're going to walk through the bookcase. Very much taken inspiration from Hex on this one at Alton Towers, in the sense that at the end of the ride, or end of the pre-show experience, you walk through the bookcase and you go into the spinning room, which then you come into the hallway, the grand hall. So I've just put all of the windows and stuff in here, make this look like a grand room, and I've decided as well, it seemed quite popular that all of the multimedia and everything we used in Project X was popular with you guys, so I'm going to do the same with this one. It feels like it should be right. It feels like it's a shooting ride. It would have been updated probably with this kind of technology. So we're going to have... I've gone onto the same video website that I went on to before, videasy.com, and not sponsored. And I'm going to put all like the pictures and stuff on here. They're going to have like moving pictures, and this is the one thing actually that theme parks are starting to really get on board with, is like digital signage. This idea that you can make pictures and whatever that are animated. So the likes of Legoland, for example, you'd have an actual Lego person that's pointing you in a direction for a conference or something like that. So that's kind of like what I'm going for here. You'd have like eyes that come and peer up at you, and just general multimedia stuff. That's kind of what I'm going for. And then you come into the pre-show area. And so remembering that we are just in one massive great big warehouse, and you're going to have loads and loads of partition walls. So you're not building entire full buildings when you're dealing with this kind of thing. You are just building a lot of partition walls to screen off areas and make things look the way that they do. So in here you've got the black screen, the pre-show area that's coming in here. So you're going to come from the Great Hall from in here, and you're going to go outside, and then you're going to get your pre-show area here. Stuff's going to happen in... Do you know what? I'm just going to do it from up here. This is probably easier to demonstrate. There you go. So you're going to come out of the Great Hall, come into the pre-show area where there's a video that plays and effects and stuff that happen. But from where you're standing, it looks like you're outside in the courtyard. And you wouldn't need to worry about any of the stuff above it, because remember, you're in the veil of darkness. So you're only going to be able to see what you direct light at, and there's going to be lights and everything that's going to appear at the top here. I just haven't put all of the rigging and stuff in yet, so yeah, I'm quite pleased with how this is kind of turning out. Just need to do a little bit of tidying up around here, so I just need to make sure that things are a bit tidier. But ultimately, remember, it's a fascia. you're not building this full building, so you don't have to worry about it, and you're limited with space. Then we come into the station. I pretty much have just ripped this off from Jewel at Alton Towers. I just liked how it was. Same idea with the video screens and everything within the picture frames. And this looks really messy, right? So you're probably looking at this going, this is pretty awful. But there's the ceiling that's going to come on, so it's going to be a fake ceiling that comes through, and when that fake ceiling is then copied right the way across, it actually just hides everything. So it's all like comes right up to the wall here, and then you're away. So it's going to actually look like it's a room, and you no longer realise that you're in a warehouse. But actually, all you've done is you've just built a roof on a couple of walls, and it's all just partition walls. It's just remembering it's all about making your guest believe what you want them to believe, and not actually having to make it in full. So then we come into the actual ride area. So I've done loads and loads of work around here, like loads and loads of little fine tweaks. I've sort of planned out already in my head where I want stuff and what the inverted commas storyline for this area would be. So the first thing you're going to do is come back out into the courtyard, and then you kind of come back into the house, and you go through different rooms in the house. So what I've then started to do, remembering that we've got this two world principle, where you've got the guest world right on the ground, and then you've got the maintenance world on the top. I've started to put in all of the lighting rigs and everything. So these would be supported from the ceiling, as the same way you would find in a nightclub, for example. So I just need to obviously tidy this up once I copy the ceiling across, but this is just giving me an idea of how everything's going to fit. And then they are all pretty much at walkway height, so that somebody can come along and change bulbs without having to bring in cherry pickers and ladders and all of that sort of stuff. So I just need to finalise everything, design. I haven't even started to design the inside of this ride yet. It's going to be intense. But the one thing that I have done is I've done this bit. So these work awesomely. So obviously before they were concrete, you can see back here it's concrete pillars. But everything in a dark ride is black or as dark as possible, so that it really creates that veil of darkness. And so quite a few people, when I was showing images and everything of this in planning, going, you're not going to get this dark, you're not going to get the dark ride dark, because you just can't do it. But the firehouse walls, coloured black on both the grout and the actual brick itself, creates this awesome veil of darkness. So let me show you. I change this to AM, and suddenly it's in darkness. So if I had kept the walls, obviously we've got the moonshine, we can't do anything about that just now because it's still coming through, we're not blocking it out. But if I'd have just kept it as normal concrete and stuff, it's obvious what's going on here. But using the black walls, you can see that actually now the stuff that was the more unsightly things are now actually hidden. So when you've got a mass of scenery and everything that's living in the front, with all of its lights and effects and the shooting elements and everything that's going on, you're not going to notice this as much at the back. And that's exactly what I'm going for. So yes, quite pleased with that actually. And then this works, the principle works all the way throughout. So obviously this bit's a little bit lighter, so we would have blackout bricks and stuff in here as well. And then you've obviously got some stuff along here that you actually want people to see. And then you come back here and it's all black again. So, but like I said, I haven't actually designed the rest of the ride itself, the ride experience itself. I've just sort of started to think about how I want the very beginnings of the ride, like what this bit's going to be and the queue and everything. So the last bit to show you then really is the maintenance area. So again, it needs just its fine details putting in, which can only be added once everything in the ride is finished, right? So, but this is pretty much how it's all looking. So this is the bit that you're sort of private, and it's your walkway and everything along the outside. Here's your private workspace, and then here's all of the electrics. So this would be a pretty epic workspace for electrics, right? You're going to have a lot of electrics in here. So you've got a whole wall of electrics that live in the maintenance area, and then just all of your work gear and your ladder up to your walkway. So guys, that's it. That's this update. So I'm going to carry on and let's see how this develops. Oh, but yeah, by the way, the next bit that I'm going to do here is finishing off all of the queue and the gift shop. So I want to get all of this bit done to an extent before I then start to design the ride. That's my plan. So I'm going to carry on, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, guys, I tell you what, this is going to be a big episode. I've got so much to show you in this update as well. So much has changed, but not a lot looks like it's changed. But I'm getting quite excited for this, actually. So let's show you around. I'm going to show you around in the daytime first, and I'm going to swap it to nighttime, and I'll show you what I've done so far. So this is where the main bulk of the work has happened. It's all been around the gift shop and making sure that this is all fully kitted out. So as you can see, it's now got its roof and everything. And so inside, we've just kept that crypt kind of hex at Alton Towers feel going on, and then space for videos and stuff that's going to be put on. I haven't converted the ones I've downloaded to WebM yet, so they're not in the game yet, but it's just your typical gift shop, using all of the stuff that we've been using elsewhere in the park. I mean, there's nothing really new here, but if we come through this way, we come into the exit of the ride, and of course there's a photo booth. This was here the last update, I just didn't show you. Oh, hello, that's the wrong camera mode. Yeah, I just didn't show you because it was still under construction, but you know, you've seen these before. Nothing really new here, just a photo booth, you know, as you do. Station, not much has changed. This is all still very much as it was. I still need to do the fine details and stuff in here, and we still need stuff and all sorts to do. But I've done some work around the sides, so we've now got a fully fledged warehouse going on. So remember, dark rides are just big warehouses. The other thing I've noticed, by the way, is that there's a lot of expectations from people when you share screenshots and everything. There's a lot of people that because you don't do it the way they would do it, it's wrong. So just remember, we're going for realism. We're going for how a dark ride would be set up. We're not going for this ultra immersive experience that you would find at a big park. So please have that in the back of your mind when we're going through this. But talking of that, this is where the biggest part of everything has taken place. So I've managed to box off exactly how I want this to look in the dark. So this first bit was always going to be entering into the graveyard. So you have this dead space coming out of the station here, which is where all of your blasters and everything are activated and stuff. And obviously this is going to be in the pitch black. So, and I mean pitch black. So you're not going to see the stuff that's around you. When we see it later on, Planet Coaster obviously gives moonlight and stuff like that. You can't properly black out black rides, but this would be completely pitch black. There's nothing here. And then you enter into the graveyard, and then there's stuff that goes on. So it's better for me to show you the ride in testing mode whilst it's in the dark, so I'll do that in a moment. But yeah, we come into the graveyard and we come around and stuff happens. We come around the corner, more stuff happens. Need to load the video into the screen for the part of it to make sense, but yeah, that will come in through the next update. Round the corner, and then more stuff happens. So it's actually quite a lot going on. And remember, the idea is that because you've got this second world that's above your dark ride, you want to distract people as much as you possibly can with everything that's going on in the guest world. So yeah, you can see all the gantries and you can see the connections, you can see everything that's going on up here, but you wouldn't in real life because it's in the dark. And I have watched so many videos from Toon Blaster and Duel and Darren Brown's Ghost Train and some of the other dark rides like Blackpool and whatever. And they use periods of complete pitch black to hide stuff. You just don't know it's there. So it's brilliant. Like, it's so clever. So deceitful. It's like creatively deceitful. So let's have a look at the front of the building. So not much has changed. I've just put a door in, basically. It just needs its fine details and decorations and stuff. So you enter in through the door. This is where some more work has been done. So we enter in. Hello. Enter into the main queue area here. I'm going to walk along, and then we get this wallpaper. So this isn't new. Like, we saw this in the last update, right? So this is all here, and we come around the corner, and I've done some tidying up in here. So this now is all tidy. It's just, again, it needs its details. It needs its fine details and whatever doing. So you go through the bookcases, and then you come out into the grand hall. And I've done loads of work on the lighting in the grand hall as well. So it's not so dark. And I've found a brilliant video for here. It's good. It's a good one. And then we come through. So once you've gone into the cattle pen hell, You come through into the pre-show area. So here we go into the pre-show area, and you'll notice now that all of the effects and stuff aren't going off because it's now all triggered and ready to go. So I'm going to play you that in a moment as well. So yeah, this is like, and obviously there's no roof. So there's no roof, but you see here I've got the aircon and everything that's already in place, because remembering that this is going to be a big warehouse, we're using smoke effects and stuff. It needs to have ventilation. You need to be able to suck out the extra air and the heat and stuff. So that's what I've done there. I've just started to put the ventilation, and it's all in the right place. It just needs joining up with the roof. That's all. And then we come into the we come into the station, and we go into the station, and then you come around into the actual dark ride. So there's the entrance gates to the graveyard, and then we've got all of these bits. So let me just quickly swap this into night time so you can see what I've done on the inside. So I've used the fairy lights, the Christmas lights, as the trigger things, so you know, for the actual guns. I will make this an actual dark ride which has triggers and stuff in it. I'm going to do that, but yeah, so I've just used all of the fairy lights just to give the effect of being the laser triggers, and it's, you know, it's good enough. You're never going to get it perfect. You can't trigger them and that sort of stuff, but you can see that even though we've got the moonlight and stuff that's coming in, this is pretty much a dark ride, right? It's pretty much how it would be. And so this is the point I was trying to make before about obscuring the guest lines with bright lights and distracting things. So I've got some smoke over here, or steam over here, stage smoke, which is going to be hiding all of the stuff in the background, but your exit lights are still coming through, because, you know, if you need to evacuate, you still need to, and you can still see the features and stuff of the second world, but it's not really there. Remember, it's going to be dark, so it's going to be much more obscured than Planet Coaster's lighting will allow. So we come around this way, and then this is meant to be like a front of a building. So we don't go any higher than this. I just need to put some other extra details and stuff on here just to make it more believable. And then inside here, this is ready for me to trigger for you, so I can show you, and I'll just show you the lighting actually inside the grand hall. There we go. Oh, it's quick. There you go. So there's the lighting in the grand hall. I just put some lights up in the ceiling. I realised that actually the likes of Hex kind of do that. They up like the ceiling so that you can see the actual features of the beams and everything. So that's just what I've done there, and you can hear the crow cawing. Where are you? There you are, mate. Shut up. It's really loud. So what I've done then for the pre-show is this. So it's living up in the top here. So let me just get my UI back. So the idea is it's a pre-show. It's supposed to give you a bit of a pre-story. And so it's going to trigger every hour. And it starts off with the smoke effect. And then you get some lightning. And then you get a bit of like a whirlwindy type effect. Another shot of lightning. Then there's a video that will play, which is like a witch. Then you hear the witch's cackle. And then stuff just goes on around it, you know, like the lights and everything go. And then that just triggers. That just repeat triggers. So, like, nothing special, but it's enough in-game to say, yeah, it's a pre-show. Whilst you're in the queue, you'd come in and... Actually, let's just take that back off again. You come in and you'd stand around. You stand by like one of the graveyards or gravestones or whatever, and then you watch the video, and then you carry on around and you board. So that's the idea. Very much taken from the likes of Hex, of course, and Wicker Man as well, where you watch the pre-show video and then enter the station. And then this is what happens on the actual main ride. So if I put that into testing mode, you'll be able to see. So it's going to come out of the station here when it's ready. Are you ready? There we go. It's coming out of the station. So obviously this bit's then going to be dark. Your blasters are starting to initialize and everything. Then you get a spooky boo thing with the lights that come through. Then it's going to come around. You're still shooting away at gravestones and everything. So this is all still good. Then you get another bolt of lightning with the sound of the actual thunder. And then it comes around. Stuff starts happening here. More stuff happens here. And then a screamy thing. So that's pretty much, I'm just going to put that onto pause. That's pretty much how this is now looking. So my next port of call is to finish off the ride experience. And it's going to take so long, but finish off the ride experience, and then that's going to be my next update. I'll walk you through the ride, and then I'm going to finish it all off, and then we'll go for a ride. So let's see how it actually turns out. Oh, you guys, I'm so excited to show this to you. This is literally 2 days worth of work, and I'm pretty much ready to put the done for now stamp on the actual ride area. There's loads of stuff that I think is going to need to go on the snagging list ready for the workshop. There's a few things that I just need to go through and touch up. And likewise, there's also some things that I'm deliberately not doing because I need to start conserving piece count because the park is really starting to drag down. So, for example, I'm not going to be putting cabling inside the trusses and linking it all up. I would have done in the earlier episodes, but I'm not going to do that now because I just don't have the piece count to spare. But what I have done is I've made it representative elsewhere in the ride, so you still get the immersive feeling from the guest side, so just have that in mind. And I also just wanted to point out as well that the other stuff that I've done, I've started to sort of marry up the area. So whereas before it was all sort of randomly placed in terms of catwalks and trusses and lights and stuff, I've now tidied all of that up now that I know how the ride area is, and now I know what the ride layout is. And so I've made all of the catwalks and the trusses and everything aligned to walls so that you can easily hide all of that maintenance-y type stuff in amongst all of the scenery. And the other thing to remember as well when you're doing dark rides is you control the direction the guest is looking at. So in sort of instances where it winds and it's a bit windy, you want to decorate the entire area. But in like this area here where they come into a room, you don't need to worry about the back wall. The guest is never going to see it, so don't bother doing the back wall. The guest is always going to be looking forward. Like, so this room here, no point doing any of this stuff on this wall because everything is in front of them. And likewise with stuff that's in corners, like over here, I've hidden some electric cables and electricity things, you know, like the meters and the shut-offs and everything. The guest is never going to see that because they're facing this way. And then likewise with this wall, it's bare because they're facing this wall. So that's the kind of cloak and dagger effect that I've been talking about in the previous updates. It's that mastery of disguise. They are just plasterboard walls, and we do also have to remember as well that this would be a mid-budget dark ride. I mean, this is probably touching now upon the more higher budget dual style ride, but we're still dealing with mid-budget, so we are still dealing with like papier-mâché walls and plasterboard walls and really cheaply put together scenery and stuff, even though this has come together so much better than I really wanted it to be. So let's do a tour. I wanted to do a tour in the dark so you get a proper feel for it, and this is obviously going to be the last time you're going to see this ride without the roof on. I don't want to put the roof on, but yeah, the roof needs to go on. So anyway, so the first thing we do then, we come out into this area, into the graveyard area, and so I've slowed the ride right down. It's now only 3 miles an hour, whereas when I had originally had it, it was I think 6. Way too fast. Way too fast. So you can imagine like the graveyard area being where you've just heard the thunder and lightning going off, and you've got stuff that happens in the graveyard. You've got plenty of jump scares, and then you approach the actual house itself. And then you just get some more jump scares as you enter towards the house. This is the video wall that I was telling you about. So this has just got a video of some lightning and stuff that's a thunderstorm that's in the background just to make it look a little bit more authentic, like that. And then here is another video of some like trees, so it's shadow into trees. And I just wanted to make this wall a bit more of a feature wall because you're facing it, and make it out as if you're actually sort of travelling a little bit through the forest. It's just a bit more of an illusion than it is an actual effect. And then you come into like the living room area. So because this bit in the back here would be dark, there's nothing really there, but I've carried the wall on back just so it gives that illusion, because your eyesight is sort of like more drawn to here. Stuff happens in here then, as you can see. So the fire comes to life and stuff falls down from the ceiling, and the skeletons come to life, and all sorts. There's quite a lot actually that happens in this room. And then you come around the corner where the gargoyle comes to life. And then you enter into the corridor. So it's like a corridor where some more things happen to you. So, like for example, the spooky, ghosty wrath thing comes flailing towards you, flying towards you, and then the lights and everything come up on here. Should we just wait for it to come through so you can see? There we go. So the RAF is then going to come forward, and then you're going to get the light on the top here to go, spook! And then you come around into the second part of the hallway, where you've got some more things to shoot at along the right hand side. And again, very little detail on the left hand side because your attention's not there. It's always going to be on this right hand side. Then the pictures are playing videos that, again, from the same website that I got them from. These spooky eyes are awesome, and they glitch as well, so you'll see that in a minute that they glitch. And then I've just put a couple of lights just to accentuate and accent these, because otherwise they're not lit, so they don't really stand out properly. And then you come into the dining room. So the dining room is just randomly put together, but the idea is you're now going to go through a secret tunnel, a secret enclosure, if you like, through underneath the crest of the house, if you like. So you're going to come around past the haunted piano. This is a TMTK item. This haunted piano is awesome, so good. And then going to come around. I need to decorate, I think, actually, this table. And then you're going to come into the corridor. And then in the corridor, you've got all of the skeletons and stuff. So the idea behind this is a bit of a secret passageway. It's going to lead to some kind of secret area where there's all sorts of horrific stuff that goes on. So you go through and you've got all these skeletons that are running out at you and the jump scares. And then there's the outside of the house, because you've ended up on the outside somehow. You've ended up on the outside, so this is looking in. So you're like, how has this happened? It's supposed to be quite disorientating. It's not supposed to make sense. And then you come round into the next corridor, and this is where stuff really starts to get a bit weird. So you've got like more mummies and insects and stuff that are running through here, and then you start to get this more adventure theme, almost as if someone's stolen something. And then you come into the snake pit. So this is supposed to be the area that's defending the witch that you're about to come across. So the snake pit is like a Indiana Jones style booby trap, if you like. So you come through this way, and then you just get the snake, and then you come back to the coffins, and suddenly you're back in the house, and it's all like, well, where have I been? What's happened? And then by the time you get to this point in the ride, and this happens on live rides as well, so like Toon Blaster and Jawl and everything, you're actually at the outside perimeter wall, so you start to see some of these facilities and some of the stuff that's going on, and they don't make any effort to hide it. So all I've done here is I've just sort of utilised lighting and everything in the front just to try and hide it. So stuff happens here, all the lights flash and you shoot towards the gargoyles. And then I wanted a grand finale, and I thought, well, all the way through this ride so far, you have been bombarded with all sorts of stuff that's happened. You know, you've got jump scares, and you've got ghouls that are coming out at you, you've got smoke and laser effects, and you've got all sorts of stuff that's going on. What's better with a finale when it all goes silent and dark and you don't know what's about to happen? So that's what happens when you come around this corner. Everything goes silent and dark, and you are just travelling through, and every now and again you get the lights of this RAF of his eyes, and then you also get like the creaking of the rocking chair that's still going, but that's all. You're supposed to be in complete pitch black. And then you come out into this room where you've got the windows and the curtains are billowing, and you can start shooting again. But as you round the corner, there's the video of that witch that's being revealed. And then as you come around the corner again, everything all kicks to life. So you get all of the lights, and you get all of the witch effects, and everything sort of then comes to life. And that's your finale. That's like, there's the witch. You've defeated the witch, and you come out to get back towards the station via the tree that you saw in the pre-show area. So it sort of goes full circle, and everything in the end sort of makes sense. And so that's pretty much everything to do with the ride. I just need to finish it off now. So I need to do all of this front. I need to do the back of house area where I fence it all off. I need to put a roof on, and I need to join all of these up to the roof properly. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so it's time for the done for now stamp, and may I welcome you to Curse of Drakeford Manor. So yeah, we've got ourselves a name. And why Drakeford Manor? Well, Jordan has helped me massively with this episode with some real insights. So I've been able to put all of the information that he's given me along with all of my information that I've already got, and I've managed to make this episode. So to say thank you, I've named the ride after him. So Jordan, thank you so much. You're an absolute star. So it's done. I've got a few things that are on the snagging list. I've got a few details that I need to do in the next episode when we do the maintenance episode. So like the backstage and everything isn't quite ready, and by that I mean like the backlot areas, and I need to join it up to the main roads and all of that sort of stuff. So that's next episode. But should we have a look at what we've got in the daytime? So I've gone around the ride, made a few tweaks and changes, put the CCTV in, that's the biggie, and just done all of the touch-up stuff, really. So we've now got ourselves the entrance sign and all of the signage that's needed. Come into the actual queue line itself, and it's all like this. And then we come down here, and I've just added in some fine details. I didn't want to go over the top with details. I just wanted it to be very subtle. And I've just added in all of the videos and everything for the projection mapping and the picture frames and stuff. Really bad camera angles. And then we walk through the door, and you come into the main queue line area. I love these eyes. They're so good. And because they glitch as well, it looks like it's a proper glitch in the Matrix. Yep, so you come in here, and then there's your cattle pen queue line that's now all in full swing. And we come into the pre-queue. God, my camera control is awful. And then we come into the pre-show area, which is just about to kick off, actually, with the lady and all sorts going on. Yep, so there's your pre-show, all doing what it needs to do. And then we come into the actual station area itself. So lots of touching up done in the station area, exit signage and markings along the side and extra details, a bit of decorations and stuff. And we've now got our staff. Just to a point of interest, normally these rides have got constantly moving stations, so you don't have a stop-start, so you only have staff that are there to help assist. They're not actually there to do anything particularly authorization-wise, you know, like they don't have to press a ride button and stuff. And then you've seen the main bit, but the difference is now we've got a roof! We've got a roof! So at night time, actually, do you know what, I am going to just swap this to night time, so you can see it. 1 second... There we go. There we go. So at night time now, this just looks so good. And because it's a warehouse, it looks like a warehouse. I think in hindsight, the angles of the roof are probably a bit too steep. I would probably do a much shallower angle roof if I did it again, but I needed this kind of space because of the walkways and everything that are underneath it. So yeah, I'm actually quite pleased with how this has turned out, because from the right angles and stuff, like there you go, where it's gone a bit darker now. So from the right angles, the ambient light from elsewhere in the ride lights up the roof like that. So it just like it brings out all of those little details that you don't necessarily notice. And remember as well that in Planet Coaster, darkness is too light, so it's designed to be light. So if you imagine that this actually would all be hidden and stuff, well, we've talked about this until the cows come home, and I know this is going to be divisive amongst the community, and I know I'm going to get loads and loads of comments from people that are saying that it's either wrong or it's too light or it's not dark enough or whatever. You know, it is what it is. Yeah, so here's the living room, isn't it, this one? And we come into the main corridor, and then we go back into the main corridor, and we come into... Oh, it's jumped too far. I'm not doing very well with this one, am I? Into the dining room. I just changed a few things around in here. Like I've put the chair up on the table and just done some extra decorations. I've toned down some of the lights as well, so that the white light here is brighter and the ambient light isn't so overpowering, especially as it was overpowering the back end. I love that those drums kick in. I think it's from the adventure pack, but it just gives it a bit of a tribal thing, especially when the crest comes up. I really like that. Yeah, and then we come into the hidden corridor, and then we come out into the spider corridor. I hate spiders so much. Hate them. And then we come out into the snake pit. Change the video here as well, because the video actually creates a bit more glare, and it makes the area darker. Look, I don't know if you can see it. So it makes the area actually darker by the video being lighter. And likewise here, I swapped out the videos that were on this panel back here. And that's, again, same reason. It's because it creates a bit of glare, and so it makes everything in the background just that little bit darker. And then I toned down the lights on the actual gargoyles gargoyles, statues. So, and then we come around into the final corner, and exactly the same reason. The only video now that's playing is that swaying grass. That's really loud. What is that? Yeah, it's that swaying grass that's going on. So it's now that sort of looks really eerie, really quite. Ugh. And then you come round into the witch. The witch is all kicking off. And then back into the station, where I've just added in the same smoke machine and everything effects from before, and then back to the station. And then on the outside, this is what it looks like. So let me just take you into daytime again. There we go. So it's a warehouse. That's all it is. It's just a warehouse. And on the guest sightline, you don't really see it. It's not so much there. You come up to the gift shop, and it sort of hides behind the gift shop. So it's like a massive warehouse that's almost perfectly hidden. And then from the car park, when I put the maintenance and stuff in for the railway line, and also the extra bits along here, and put in the new perimeter fence and everything, this is then going to look all right on the sight line as well. So I'm not too bothered about it being quite obvious and obnoxious right now. It's okay. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. I've got some plans for this area here. I think I want to put the twirl or whatever, the twirly ride, the one the one with the witch on the top. It kind of feels like it fits that theme. It should be here. And then obviously with what's coming here, which I will not tell you about. So I think that's what I'm going to do next episode, is all of the maintenance areas that we need to do around the park, and put this extra ride in, so I know what space I've got for the finale, a finale episode. So guys, that is everything. That's Curse of Drayton. No, that's not Drayton. It's Curse of Drakeford Manor. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been an extended episode, obviously, because it's a big episode. I know that Dark Rides are going to cause a lot of comments, so let's have a discussion. Let's go for it. I'm bound to have missed loads of stuff, so I can't wait for you guys to tell me what I've missed. But if you like the episode, you know what to do. Leave a like, come and chat in the comments, subscribe to the channel if you want to know any further, and also don't forget to leave your ideas for what you want to see for future episodes as well, or future projects, because this one's coming to an end. I'm going to need something to do afterwards. Do you want another game? Do you want me to pick up Planet Zoo again? Do you want me to do a new park? Do you want me to do a how-to series? I don't know. You tell me. I'll make the content that you guys want to watch, because I'm starting to get to the end of this and not really knowing where I need to go. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Thank you for all of those that are probably watching on the live stream. So I really do appreciate you guys coming along. And until we speak again, you know what to do. Keep yourselves safe. Bye-bye.